thank you so much for joining me for this special Q&A here with Stacy Makes. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for this special Q&A here with Stacy Makes, one of my friends, one of my best friends. So we planned a Q&A, and we also filmed her answers, so make sure you check out her answers on her channel. But we're gonna get started because we are in a rush. We have our retreat family coming really soon, so we're gonna get started on the questions. So.
Okay, are you ready? We're gonna start with crochet questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite pattern you've ever written?
Well, it's not published yet, but I am working on it. I have made several hats that I'm working on, but I think my most favorite is probably my fish stick hat that everyone asks about, that I'll be definitely working on, but yeah, that one.
Okay, what is your favorite brand of hook and size?
So I like Clover hooks, the Clover Amour hooks, even though the plastic ones squeak and they really need to come up with some metal ones for the larger sizes. But I really like the ergonomic handle on those. It feels really nice for me. So, and I use mostly, for my hats, I use the 5.5 millimeter, and for plushies, I probably use the 6.5 to 8, those sizes. So depending on the yarn.
What brand of yarn and type do you use the most?
So for my hats, I use the Loops and Threads yarn, the worsted weight yarn, Impeccable. That's my favorite for those. But for plushies, I like Bernat a lot. You know, I use Bernat a lot, and then I love Big Twist. But I mean, the yarn that I felt this weekend, the name is
Elise Veludo.
Yes, I might be placing a very large order really soon for that. It's really soft, so.
Okay, what is your favorite project that you refuse to give away or sell?
This is a loaded question for me, you guys, because, you know, if I make a blanket, a granny square blanket, like, I am keeping it, you know? Like, you have to be like, I don't even know. I haven't even given my mom one yet, so blankets. And then I like to make the amigurumi with the worsted weight yarn, and I have only given one away. I've made like so many, so.
Okay, have you made your patterns in acrylic yarn?
Yes.
Have you made your patterns, or any patterns, I guess?
I mean, most of my patterns that I've written
are acrylic,
or that I've published. I do have some plushie patterns that are in my notebook that I've written, but most of my patterns are all in acrylic yarn, so.
Okay. Have you knitted in the last year?
Well, you know, what's funny is I have been finger knitting. Does that count?
I guess.
Yeah, so I started
thing?
finger knitting some blankets with a really big yarn.
I've never done that.
I taught myself just a couple weeks ago, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite yarn to use for plushies?
So a lot of times I use Bernat, and then I also use Big Twist a lot, so.
Big Twist plush?
Yeah. Yes, Big Twist plush.
How did you learn to crochet, and how long have you been crocheting?
So when I was 8 years old, my mom taught me how to crochet, and I would make scarves and chains for miles practicing, and
yeah.
I didn't really make a lot though, other than like scarves, and I never knew how to read a pattern until I was probably in my early 30s, you guys. I taught myself how to read a pattern.
18, 19-year-old, Before I learned to read a pattern, I was just making granny squares.
Yeah,
I mean, someone taught me how to make a square, and
I knew how to do it. I just didn't know how to read what I would, you know. So yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite thing to crochet?
Plushies. Yeah.
Okay. Does the Kato yarn winder hold a whole skein of Bernat?
Yes, it does. I would say it kind of wraps around the bottom a little bit, but you can kind of take your fingers and like pull it up, and it's fine. But yes,
that's a lot of yarn.
It does.
Okay. What is the minimum size stash of yarn that you need to keep on hand?
I think this question's funny because I don't really have a minimum stash. I have a maximum stash of yarn.
Yeah.
And I think, though, if you are selling, you should definitely have stuff in stock so that you can be prepared to make things. You don't want to be running to the store all the time, or especially if you have custom orders on Etsy, you want to have the yarn in stock.
Yeah, you're better off to stick with one type and have all the colors than to go 3 or 4 types and only have a little of them each, I think, if you're getting started. So.
I've actually designed things that I sell, and then they discontinue the yarn too. So, you know, it's kind of, you got to have stuff in stock.
Okay, we're going to move on to market/business questions. Okay. What is your favorite quick market make?
Well, my best sellers, I mean, that I like to make are the chickens from, what is it?
Oak and Marlow?
No. Well, those I do make.
Oh, the hatching chicks.
The hatching chicks, the Louis and Berg chicks. And then I also have a cat that I wrote the pattern for that I make. It's a lot smaller. It's a loaf cat, but I make those like on repeat all the time for markets because I put, you know, signs. I do the box, and everybody loves the marketing for the box with the adopt a kitten, and then I give it an adoption certificate, and they love the marketing. And then the eggs, I add the tag from Oak and Marlow on all the chickens, and everybody just thinks that's just, the marketing is so awesome for the support chickens, emotional support chickens.
Yeah. What plushie has had the most wow factor in the last year? Either in your booth or in the world of crochet in general?
I mean, I think it's more the loveys. I think there was a big craze for the Mama Made Minis loveys, like online, and everybody talked about it on YouTube, and everybody was making them. I mean, I think those were made a lot, and then of course the loaf cat was made a ton. Those I think were made the most, and the Oak and Marlow chicken, everybody was making that. Was that last year?
Yeah, probably the beginning of last year.
Yeah, so.
What percentage would be a realistic profit when selling plushies, or AKA how do you price your plushies?
For me, it's mostly just trial and error because, you know, I'll mark things at what I think people will buy them at. And if they sell out, then I sometimes raise my prices. You know, if they are constantly, consistently selling out and I can't keep up with the demand, it's all, you know, supply and demand, right? Like if you can't keep up with it, you raise the price so that you don't have to make as many. So I kind of go with that method a little bit. Sometimes you just can't get your hourly rate with your makes, you know? So I only ever make like a couple at a time before I decide how many I want to make because I don't know if they're going to sell. So I don't really have a good, like, I know people have calculators and I don't do that.
I don't do a spreadsheet. Mine's just kind of averaged, but.
Yeah.
How do you manage your time in your business? That's a loaded question.
Yes. You know, my first priority is always my family, right? So working from home, I feel like I'm always working in between doing my chores, my motherly duties, my, you know, family duties. So that is like the $1 million question. I just think the best answer to that is to stay busy. Make lists if you have to. Prioritize each day what is most important. If it's your family, then put your family first. If you have some time to work, then get your butt up and get busy and get to work, you know, like.
Not being so hard on yourself too.
Yes.
If you know, don't get everything done, or, I mean, you're one person.
Yeah, just figure it out. Like, do what you can. And at the end of the day, if it wasn't a lot, then no, you have tomorrow. You know, there's always tomorrow.
How do you avoid getting burnt out making multiples of plushies?
My favorite thing to do is to open up a new pattern and to just make something new. So if I'm burnt out of making 12 loaf cats or 15 chickens.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I will pull out a pattern and make something I haven't made or make something different, you know, or, you know, I'll take a break, you know, whatever you got to do. I mean.
So you have tips for batch making when you do batch make?
Yeah, I feel like it's important to do like each step at a time. Like with my loaf cats, I like to embroider the eyes on the loaf cats. So I'll do like the first part up to the first set of feet. And then I'll have all of my cats attached to each skein of yarn. And I'll just sit on the couch and do up to that point. And then I'll sit at my desk and do the eyes. and then I'll put them back in a basket, and then I'll go back to, the couch or whatever, and I'll finish them. Same with the chickens. I'll make a bunch of chicken bodies, and then I'll sit down and I'll stuff them and sew them and put the beaks and the eyes on. And so that's my suggestion, is just to batch a bunch at once.
Okay. How do you get started with a small business, incorporate Instagram and YouTube into it, and plan your markets?
I think we're going to talk about the YouTube question with our YouTube 101 video that we're going to film with everyone here. So you guys stay tuned for that. It'll answer a lot of the YouTube questions.
Okay.
And what was the second part? Was it
how do you plan markets or find markets?
So Google, I mean, if there's one that you hear about in your local area, sometimes if it's a big one, like I do one, the Sauerkraut Fest, I went there the year before and I walked it and I shopped it and I checked it out, and I'll walk around and maybe ask some of the vendors questions. Even when I'm just a, buyer that day, I walk around and talk to people and hey, I'm a vendor. Is this one hard to get in? I mean, you can do it that way, or just searching on Facebook, and just when you are a vendor, talk to people, write things down. I always ask, hey, what's your best show? What's your most profitable show? Which one is well organized?
Yeah.
Just ask questions and write it down, and then go back and look at their websites, look at photos, try to see how many vendors they have. Here I am talking with my hands.
It's very important that you do that.
But, just ask questions, talk to people, Google.
Yep.
Get a notebook, write stuff down, keep track of all your notes. Yes.
And sometimes it takes years to build up the ones that are good and you like, and it's just, we've both been doing it for a very long time.
Yes.
So, and I still find new ones that I try, and I'm like, it's just a hit or miss.
Yes, and I give them up because I'm like, no.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you come up with your business name?
The Cozy Buckeye. Well, first, I'm a Buckeye, you guys. I live in the state of Ohio, right? So that was a big part of it. And, crochet is just a cozy craft, right? Like, you just enjoy sitting on the couch and making a pattern or whatever. So that's kind of it for me. It's not really that complicated. And I also like other crafts, like she said in her video, so you have to go watch that. You don't want to niche down, like, just to crochet. Like, if you like to do other things, as I'm... We're trying not to talk with our hands. But if you like to do other crafts, it's good to kind of keep it a little more broad than just one thing. So
yeah. And it's like, on one hand, it's like, if you're going to stick with crochet and that's the only thing you're ever going to do,
yes,
put it in your name if you want to, because that way people will know by looking at your name that's what you do.
Yeah.
But also, like, don't get yourself stuck there.
And I'm a serial crafter.
I am too.
I have so many things I do. So
okay. Did you build your inventory before you started your business?
No, well, for markets, of course, you build up some before you do a market. But for Etsy, you guys, every time I would make something, I would take photos and I would make a listing, and I would just create custom listings. So my ship times are 2 to 3 weeks for my hats, because every time I make one, it's out there, so I can remake it. But I'm not going to like make a bunch, because I don't know if they'll sell. I don't know. I don't want to get stuck with inventory that isn't going to sell. Right? So the best way to do that is just to make one and put it out there and see how it does.
Okay. Is it okay to sell all types of crochet and not just plushies?
Of course.
I mean, which that's what you do.
Yeah, but again, you want to see if it's going to sell. You don't want to make a bunch of anything. Like, don't go all in on something if you don't know if there's going to be a demand for it. So just try things out.
Yep. How do you keep your information organized for taxes?
You guys, I'm
listening, because I don't.
I just have an accordion binder, and then I have notes that I have, because I've done this for so many years, I know what things I need to keep. So I have folders where I'll keep like all of my, bills for my house, like your utility bills or whatever, or I'll keep a list, because a lot of things just get emailed. So then at the end of the year, I'll just like grab all those emails and print them out and put them in my binder. But I save all my receipts. I save all of my notes as far as like certain things you can write off, but I'm not gonna like go into like the tax part of that. But I just keep everything in a binder, and when it comes to me, I just keep throwing it in there. So at the end of the year, I don't have
it in one place.
I don't have to go find everything, because I've been there, you guys. That's not fun.
So do you have an LLC or an S corp?
I just have a sole proprietorship where I use my social security number and file my taxes that way.
So a couple YouTube questions, which we'll hit a lot on YouTube and our YouTube 101s, but is there a pro and a con for having a YouTube channel?
Of course. The pro is just the community, and I love sharing what I do. I feel like I've been doing it for a while, so I have some knowledge about markets and just crochet in general, and the pro for me is being able to maybe help other people learn from my experience. So I really enjoy sharing that with people. So that for me is the pro. The community, the friendships, of course.
You got me.
The con, for me, the con is sometimes it's a lot of work, you guys, to have a YouTube channel, and you're not always compensated monetarily, you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So, and there's a little bit of stress behind it sometimes, meeting those deadlines. Like if you know I have to get a video out every Friday and you've had a busy week with family or whatever, and just knowing that, you know, being consistent is key on YouTube. So sometimes there's a little anxiety behind getting things
fitting it in,
finished,
and taking it away from your crochet time.
Yes.
So did you have aspirations when you started your YouTube channel that you wanted to accomplish?
I did. I mean, I wanted to, obviously I want people to enjoy it, you know, and I want to grow my channel and hopefully someday, you know, make money doing it. I mean, who doesn't? Like if you say you're not doing this to make money, like a little bit of it is I want to be able to make a little more money, so maybe I don't have to, like if I can transition from crocheting 5,000 hats a year to like teaching other people how to do it, then that would be great, you know, like I would love to do that. So, you know, that's kind of an aspiration, you know, but also just having a community, having friendships that, you know, I've said before, like you can talk to your family and your husbands as much as you want, and you'll be like, oh, look at this plushie. And they're like, yeah, it's cute. And then they just, they're listening. No, they're not. They're looking at you, but like.
It's not the same as sharing with a fellow crocheter or crafter that understands.
It's just fun, and then to be able to make the friendships, for sure.
Okay, we're going to move on to personal questions, our last category.
Oh, fun.
What is your favorite memory with the kids? The kids, like
I have 5, so all of us together is, you know, it's hard to answer this question for me because my kids are all different ages, but vacations, playing games, just I love when my kids are laughing and we're having fun together. You know, it's the little things for me. Movies, like taking my kids when they were little to see movie, you know, to the theater. We used to do that a lot with my mom, and that's one of my favorite memories. Is just
we love to go to the movies.
Okay.
So, how did you meet your husband?
Well, I've talked about this in my other Q&A. So like, if you guys want to watch more answers, I have another Q&A, and so does she on her channel. So we met in Paradise. It's a bar.
In Paradise.
And it was New Year's Eve. So I worked a full-time job as a loan processor, and I was actually going through a divorce, and I was broke, like so broke. And my coworker had a bar and was like, hey, you should, you know, wait on some people and make some money. Cause I was always like trying to pay my bills back then. I was really broke and I was working side jobs. And she's like, you know, you could be a barmaid. And to be honest, you guys, I had never done that. I was like 27 and had never had a job like that. So I was really nervous, but last minute, I was getting sad because I didn't have any plans and everybody was busy and I didn't want to be alone on New Year's Eve. So I, last minute, called her up and was like, hey, can I work? and I ended up waiting on my husband that night. And he came up to me at the end of the night and was like, hey, if I give you my number, can I take you out to dinner? So that was how we met in paradise.
Aww. The beginning of Sam and April.
Yes.
That's so sweet.
Yes.
What would you do that you are not doing now if your success was guaranteed? Is there anything else that you thought you would aspire to do as a grown-up that you would just still love to, if you knew you could succeed at it?
Oh my gosh.
I skipped this question because I thought it was really hard to think about it.
I mean, there's so many crafty things over the years that I have loved doing. I would definitely travel more if I had the means to do that.
Yeah.
Traveling, taking my kids on more vacations with me, and just, you know, if you have more money, you know, there's so many things you could do, but I definitely spend a lot of fun time with my family and travel and stuff with my husband. Yeah. So, yeah.
Be nice to get paid for that.
Yeah.
Did we know each other before YouTube?
No, we didn't. So YouTube brought us together, and we are the best of friends now. We met in person at our first retreat, so that was nice. But we, after our Q&As, first, you know, we have a lot of parallels. It's really kind of interesting about our lives, but I kind of got to know her more through her Q&A. And what's funny is we didn't even plan it, but like I did my Q&A about the same time she did her Q&A, and it was like, wow, we're very similar people. And then we started chatting. We were chatting on Instagram, and then she sent me her phone number, and we started texting, and then we met in person, and now we talk on the phone. And so now we're here together. Yeah. It's been fun. So
it's crazy. Yeah, we actually live probably right out 5 hours apart from each other.
Yeah.
Just Illinois to Ohio, straight across from each other. So we haven't, this is only the second time we've been in person.
Yeah.
Talked before, but she's talked me down off the cliff a couple times already.
She's always trying to get me to move to Illinois too.
Why not? No, Indiana. Like I live right by the Indiana border, and you just need to move right across the other side. The taxes and stuff are so much better in Indiana. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we were closer because we do really connect as friends, and it's nice. But yeah, so YouTube.
Okay, that's all of the questions that were in the Q&A. So
thank you guys for being here and listening. And, you know, again, if you want to go check her answers out on her channel, and also stay tuned because we are going to have a lot more footage from our retreat.
Yes.
We're going to have YouTube 101 we're going to film, so stay tuned for all that. But as always, you guys, thank you so much for watching, for being here. Leave some comments if you like. I'd love to hear from you and chat with you. And, you know, I appreciate you. So if you want to show me some love, if you want to support me, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and we will see you later. Bye. Bye. Sit down first.
Okay, gotta space for my arms.
What time is it?
It's 1:15.
Oh, Jesus. We gotta get that bed made.
What bed?